Hello, this is Mr. Derrick, and in this video tutorial, I'm going to be using the Prusa Slicer to show you how to insert and prepare your puzzle cube files for 3D printing. So the first thing we want to do is come up here and either hit the Add button or go up to File, Import, and you're importing the STLs. Either way, they're the exact same thing. Takes you to the same spot. So it should take you into your puzzle cube folder, hopefully. If not, then orient your way through until you find your puzzle cube folder. And here you should have already exported from SOLIDWORKS all of your STLs. So I'm going to select all of those STLs and hit open. Now they import all on top of one another, and that's perfectly fine for right now. So right now they're all selected. I'm going to go up here to this bar across the top, and I want to hit arrange or arrange current bed. It'll do the exact same thing because they're all selected. So it just spreads them all out so you can actually see what's going on. Now I do also notice that when I exported my stuff from SOLIDWORKS and brought it into here, for some reason this program says that there's an error with my purple part over here. So I just want you to check over on the right side and see if any of them have this little warning symbol. And you can see it says if I click on this, it will auto repair the 16 errors. Well, what are the errors in it? I have no clue, but it's telling me to repair it, so I'm going to repair it. So click on that little button if you have that, and it will repair your part. So that's probably my simplest part. I don't know why there were any errors with it, but who cares? It's now fixed according to the program. Now, as far as 3D printing these, these are all laid out pretty simple so far. You can see this is just going to extrude. It's basically just extruding straight up. That's an easy print. That's an easy print. Same thing with all these. These are pretty easy. So it prints from the bottom and just layer by layer by layer goes up, right? It prints up like that. Now, if we look at this part, however, you can see there's nothing underneath it. So how is that possibly going to print like that? Well, it is possible. It could support it, but there's a lot better way of rotating this. So I'm going to select that part. And over on my left side, there's a whole bunch of different options. There is like a free rotate, but the easiest one and the one I want you to use is the place on face. So with my part selected, I'm going to hit the place on face, and I want to rotate my screen around and kind of fix or pick the face that I think it should be sitting on. So I think it should be sitting on this. So you notice, if I get off of this tool now, you notice now there's no overhanging parts. It just kind of goes straight up. Okay. Now, maybe your parts, not all of your parts have that capability of rotating so that they're just easy prints straight up. But do your best that you can to do that. I also like to put one of the larger sides down. So you could see like this part could have been rotated like this. It could be standing straight up. But I like to have one of the larger parts down if possible. And that's because the more surface area that it's touching the bed, the better that it's going to actually stick when it's 3D printing and it's not going to move on us. So going back to our steps here, we added our parts in, we arranged them all so they spread out, we repaired any, and then I rotated any using the place on face, any that needed to be rotated. Now, it probably moved some, as you did the place on face. So we're going to scale these down and then rearrange these. These right now are pretty large. Obviously, they're the size that you drew them. I'm going to have you print these on a very small miniature scale, so you have this tiny little puzzle. And I'm actually going to give you a secondary piece that this will fit into that actually gets hooked onto a key ring, which is pretty cool. The next thing we need to do is scale each one of these parts down. So I'm just going to start with this part. I'm going to select it. And over on the side here, you can see that it gives us our overall measurements. So just like in SOLIDWORKS, this is in inches, and you can see since I had 3 pieces, is what I called it in the project, 3 pieces, that made it 2.25 long. So we're going to be scaling these down, and not by changing the measurements here, but just simply by changing the percentage size. So in this scale factor, I'm just going to select in that area, and I'm going to type in 25%. Okay, and then hit enter on my keyboard. Now that's going to scale it down so it's almost a ½ inch, but you can see that's a really small piece. Okay, yeah, I know these are miniature. That's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to select each one and just change the scale factor to 25%. And when I hit enter, it changes all 3 ways. So I just have to do this one by one. Now I can't select all of them at one time and change them because I think that would rearrange it. Like if I were to hit select all here, I think that's selecting as a large chamber here. And if I tried to scale down, it wouldn't work correctly. So you got to do this just one by one. Okay. All right, so now that I have them all scaled down and they're rotated, now I'm going to hit rearrange or arrange bed, and that's going to bring them in right to the middle, which is really, really tiny here. Now the next step would be to change all of the settings over on the right side, slice and export this, but since you're doing this at your seat on your computer, you don't have some of these settings here that I need you to have. So what I'm going to ask for you to do is save this as a project, submit the project, and then move over to the computer that I have located next to the 3D printer. At that same time, you can also talk to me and let me know what you're doing and blah, blah, blah if I need to sign into that computer so that I can get everything up and going for you and we can have a little conversation of what needs to be changed. So to save this, we're just going to go up to File, and you can see it says Save Project As. So we're going to save the project. And you can see I did this before. So you would just save the project, and you could just name this Puzzle Cube. That's perfectly fine. When you go to submit it, it's going to actually put your name next to it anyways. So you could just name this Puzzle Cube. And because I already have one up here, I'm not going to change that. I'll just name mine like Puzzle Cube 1, and I'll hit Save. Okay, now that it's saved, we're going to go over to my website. So I'll just open up my website. And it doesn't matter if you're on the TechDraw 1 page or where you're at here. At the top of my website, there's the activity and project submission. So we'll just go through this. Okay, select the class, hit next. And on here, you're going to find a spot for the project that says 3D printing. Okay, now at the time that I'm making this video, I only have a 1B section. I might have more sections. You're just going to add a file, and you're going to add the file to your class period. So when I hit add a file, it's going to bring me into my Google Drive. It might be under recent. That would be very convenient, but you can see it's not right here. Actually, it is. There it is. If it's not under recent, you'd go to My Drive and then go through until you find the actual file. But you're just going to select that file and hit Insert. You'll hit Next and Submit. Okay. And now you gave me that project. Now you should be able to move over to the laptop near the 3D printers and also let me know that you are doing so.